My name is Samantha Parker, 32. Since I can remember, Jessica, my younger sister, always stole mine. My childhood toys. Teenage clothing, my focus at every family event. But nothing. Expected what she took during my birthday meal last month. Standing there announcing her pregnancy with my spouse, Kyle, my world collapsed. What neither knew. I was also concealing something. Something that would end their fantasy forever. Before I continue the story, tell me where you're watching, and like and subscribe if you like. Ever had a poisonous relative? You'll want to know the outcome. Being Jessica's kid, the shadow of her older sister was constant. Since she was born when I was 4, my parents considered her their golden child. Jessica had better birthday parties and outfits, but strangely, always got the last cake. Not that my parents didn't adore me. They just loved her more openly. Enthusiastically. Look at Jessica's art. Mother would gush as sister drew with crayons as my straighter report cards were knotted. Ah, nice, Sam. My father coached Jessica's softball team but never found time for debates. These minor rejections accumulated over time. I tried desperately to build resentful walls. Not acknowledge. Jessica patterned early on. Whatever I had, her room unexpectedly had my favorite teddy bear. I saved my allowance for a sweater. Disappear from my closet and resurface on her when I got the school play lead. Jess suddenly became interested in drama and encouraged my parents to enroll her in expensive acting classes. Why can't just share with your younger sister became the family slogan, always for me, never her? I learned to hold. I held on to my values to protect my heart and dreams. College was my escape. I relocated 3 states to Northwestern University, too distant for Jessica. Those 4 transformational years. Without Jessica's shadow, I grew. I made honest friends who valued me. I discovered my marketing and communications love. In my junior year, I meet Kyle. Kyle Henderson arrived at my advanced marketing seminar tousled. I'd never seen such sincere smile and brown hair. He dropped his coffee. First conversation. Muttering an apology as liquid sprayed my notes. Rather than offended, I found his nervousness cute. I accepted his dinner offer to make up for it. That dinner became brunch the next morning, discussing our dreams, families, and favorite literature till sunrise. I've never met someone who gets me like you that night. I felt truly seen. Kyle was everything I wanted, attentive, polite, ambitious, but not at the expense of. We graduated, relocated to Chicago, and developed professions together. By side. He proposed after 2 years on Lake Michigan at sunrise made me feel like I'd found my happily ever after. Wedding planning brought Jessica back into my life. She'd graduated college by then and worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep, which seemed to involve more flirtation than labor. Actual sales. When I called to announce my engagement, she said, "Congratulations, lukewarm. Is he rich?" Her first words, not "I'm happy for you" or "you deserve this." I asked Jessica to be my girlfriend despite my doubts. Maid of honor. My mother said it would break her heart if you didn't. I should have recognized the warning flags at my bridal shower when Jessica wore white or at the rehearsal dinner when she gave a was about her rather than me, but I was determined to overcome it to avoid old wounds affecting my pleasure. The wedding was gorgeous despite Jessica's attempts to center herself, late photo arrivals, and dramatic behavior. Cole spotted her crying louder than my mother throughout the wedding and flirting with Kyle's groomsmen at the reception. He comforted me by saying, "She's jealous because you're so incredible," murmured, and I believed him. Our first 2 years were idyllic. Kyle and I bought a small suburban house, advanced in our jobs, and discussed starting a family. And I decided to wait until we were financially stable, but I believed he was hesitating for other reasons. He couldn't explain why, but I appreciated his caution and focused on our. Kyle's relationship and profession changed a year ago. He started working later, always put his phone face down on tables, and protected his passwords. Jumping anytime I got near as he texted. Our intimacy waned till we felt like strangers. When I mentioned the distance, he said it was stress from the new promotion. After this endeavor, things will return to normal, but. Instead, the gap increased. I checked his phone bill. I saw several calls to an unidentified number and fragrance on his garments. I spotted a long blonde hair on his jacket. Jessica had lengthy blonde hair. I thought I was afraid of my childhood insecurities, clouding my judgment. Jessica lived in the same city, but we rarely saw each other. Why would Kyle be associated with her? My 32nd birthday neared, and I hoped it was. Kay was aloof, but he vowed to make my birthday spectacular. My parents. I planned a family supper at Merlot, my favorite restaurant. Having extra time getting ready that night, donning the blue dress Kyle thought brought out my eyes, styling my hair. Hair the way he loved it. I wanted to find my husband again. I muttered to myself in the mirror before leaving, tonight will be different. Night will start new. Beginning. I had no clue how prescient those words would be, though not in the way I intended. Merlot was ideal. Environment for a therapeutic evening. The restaurant's warm amber lighting and exposed brick walls. I always felt at home. The hostess escorted me to our room with the fragrance of fresh bread and rosemary. Reserved table. Kyle texted that he'd meet me there, citing an urgent work call. Mrs. Parker, the hostess grinned. Your family arrived. My parents stood. My mother's face lit up as I approached the table, looking glad to see me. Trying to hide his emotions, my father hugged me briefly, caressing my back. Happy birthday. Darling, he handed me a simple gift bag. Your mother chose. My mother touched my hair. Samantha, you look wonderful. Typical. She did your lipstick before the photos before I sat down. Was immediately finding something to improve about me, so I smiled and filed the critique. Mom, your arranging means a lot. Jessica was late, which was expected. I made sure everyone was watching her when she entered an art form. As I sat down, I mentioned that Kyle was late. My father nodded compassionately. Kyle's a hard worker. Waiter took our drink orders. I ordered water, wanting to toast Kyle first. My parents. My mother advised, have some wine, dear. Jessica entered and started a disturbance at the entryway before I could answer. Always made sure everyone noticed. As she tossed her blonde hair, her giggle filled the cafe. Over her shoulder. Her tight red dress left little to the imagination, garnering admirers. Stares from neighboring diners. Who accompanied her, Kyle? My Kyle, holding the door for her. He quickly touched her back as they moved between tables. They were too close. Smiling too closely to be in-laws who arrived at once. Sorry we're late, Jessica said. I bumped into Kyle in the hallway as I kissed my cheek with precision that left no lipstick stain. Parking lot coincidence, right? Kyle grabbed the seat beside me and squeezed my shoulder, avoiding my eyes. Like an apology. Happy birthday, Sam. I apologize for the delay. I recognized his newly showered scent and stronger perfume. A work call excuse appeared weak. I said, no problem, keeping my cool. Voice steady. I'm just glad everyone's here now. The waiter returned. We ordered food. My parents took over, talking about their cruise and the neighbors. Landscaping drama. Jessica constantly mentioned her sales successes or celebrities she'd met. Allegedly met at a conference. Kyle was abnormally silent. Just helping when asked. I touched Kyle's knee under the table to connect. After flinching, he covered my hand. A slimy palm. Everything okay? I muttered as my father told his golf story. Fine, Kyle said. Too fast, weary. The gifts followed. My parents gave me a generic department store gift card. Kyle gave me a little package of diamond earrings. Looked costly yet generic, like a rushed purchase. Jessica's gift, a luxury scarf I assumed she bought for herself and gave me at the last minute. She claimed that was your color. The murky orange was never my color, but the server served me chocolate lava cake instead of a birthday cake. He placed. My father raised his glass before me. Before singing, I'd like to make a birthday toast to my oldest daughter. You've always been responsible, Samantha. Your mother and I. Your secure existence makes you proud. Stable. Nor thrilling, nor remarkable. Simply steady. I felt like a trusty horse, not a daughter celebrating another birthday. The waiter lit the lone candle on my cake. Jessica shifted enthusiastically in her seat, eyeing Kyle intently. Foreboding squeezed my stomach. Jessica stopped us from singing. I have news. It would be ideal addition to Sam's birthday. All eyes were on her. She rose, concentrating on adjusting her dress over her stomach. It wasn't my intention to share this, but she paused for drama while we're together. She had sparkling eyes. Success as they locked with mine. I'm pregnant. The silence felt endless despite lasting seconds. My mother exclaimed joy. My father smiled wider than ever at my accomplishments. That's great, honey, my mother said. When's your due? You how far along? About 10 weeks, Jessica. She answered, hand on stomach. Still more. She then dropped the bomb that would destroy my life. Kyle fathers Jessica. She spoke with twisted pride that chilled me. Have been seeing each other for months. We'll be family. Ambient noise from the restaurant persisted, but at our table, time paused. Dad's glass froze halfway to his lips. My mother's smile broke in uncertainty. She glanced at Jessica, Kyle, and me while she processed the unthinkable. Kyle stared at the tablecloth, colorless. We wouldn't tell you this way. He whispered, not looking at me. I repeated, one syllable, getting it past my choked throat. Jessica stretched across the table and touched over Kyle's. We planned to wait until after the first trimester, but I couldn't wait. Her eyes found mine, triumphantly nasty. Now we're family, Sam. Kyle. We'll raise this baby together. The intentional cruelty of her birthday timing in my favorite restaurant in front of our parents was stunning. Not a mistake. A temporary failure in judgment or emotion. Maximum damage was the goal of this performance. My mother found her voice first. Don't understand. Kyle married Samantha. She said this simple truth as if to alert everyone of something ignored. Not long, Jessica. She flicked her wrist dismissively. They've had issues forever. I didn't plan this with Kyle, but you can't fight real love. Real love, like Kyle and I had built over 7 years, was fake, Sam. Kay finally looked. The remorse and relief on his face were disgusting. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to know, Jessica. It just happened. Just happened. Like a hurricane or flat tire. Not a 9-month treachery costing thousands of deliberate deception and destruction. When? Quite shocked, I asked. Voice stability. It just happened when? Kyle shifted uneasily. Does it matter? Jessica, apparently enjoying her role as narrator, said it began at your Christmas party. My humiliation. Kyle and I disappeared for a bit. Thought he was helping me discover my Earring? Her tinkling laughter rattled my nerves like broken glass. Found something. All right. 6 months. I was preparing romantic anniversary surprises and after setting dates to reconnect, my husband and sister continued without me. Every late night work, every strange text, every excuse finally made sense. A betrayal pattern so blatant I couldn't believe I missed it. I think. My father slowly laid down his wine glass with such care that this conversation should continue privately. However, Jessica continued her act. No need. Dad, privacy. All our family here. Grinning, she rubbed her flat stomach. Another Henderson will join us soon. Wow, that's exciting. Your first grandchild. My mother grabbed this detail like a lifeline. A grandchild. She sighed, her eyes softening for Jessica as usual. All right, even in rare circumstances, a baby is a blessing. As I watched disbelief as my mother reframed this tragedy as a happy family growth. Of course she would. Jessica always received forgiveness. Her mistakes changed. I turned my parents' favoritism into victories. My Sam call touched me. Tentative arm. Can we discuss this privately? I examined his hand on my arm like a weird thing. This hand that held me through my grandmother's funeral slid. Wedding ring onto my finger with eternal promises that had evidently been touching my sister equally. Intimacy. Need to use the restroom, I said. Standing abruptly, my noisily scraped chair against floor. No one stopped me as I walked away, my legs carrying me. Despite feeling bodiless, the restaurant washroom was thankfully unoccupied. Locking myself in stall, pressed my forehead against the chilly metal door, and awaited the inevitable breakdown. But tears didn't come. I experienced a peculiar peace and clarity. Didn't expect. Though heartbreaking, this treachery wasn't unexpected. Jessica took my stuff our whole lives. Kyle showed vulnerability for months. This was just the culmination of long-standing trends. I sprayed cold water on my faced my reflection. Perhaps the woman looking back at me was harsher, but also more focused. I reapply lipstick steadily. You won't. I said break to myself. Not here. Not for them. When I returned, they discussed names around the table. Discussing baby names as if this announcement had been received. Universal joy rather than destroying my planet. Kay was miserable but resigned. Nodding as Jessica listed choices. If it's a boy, I'm thinking Kyle Jr. She said. Henderson Parker is a beautiful first name. Think? My married name Parker. She was already claiming it for her child or girl, possibly Kylie. Too on the nose. She giggled, stroking Kyle's arm. Possessively. I sat back, eyes on me with varied degrees of interest. Concern, guilt, and Jessica's barely hidden feelings. Anticipation. She awaited my breakdown to solidify her narrative of being steady. Smart enough to help Kyle after his emotionally unstable wife left. Instead, I smiled. If you don't mind, I'd like to eat my cake, I said quietly. Before it melts entirely. Jessica's smile faded in confusion. Kyle was equally confused by my coolness. Sam, we should discuss plans. I raised my hand. Not now, Kyle. I'm going to have to. I took a forkful of chocolate lava cake and closed my eyes, eating my birthday cake. Briefly to relish the flavor. When I opened them, all four stared at me like I'd grown larger. Second head what? I asked simply. Did you expect me to collapse? Scene, cry? Sorry, Jessica recovered first. I assured her, eating another bite, that I was upset. Delicious cake, But unlike some at this table, I don't need to show off every feeling. Before we proceed, you should know this, I said, setting down my fork. The emotional earthquake inside me was only visible in my hand tremble. I took a slow sip of water, gathering my thoughts. I'd been accumulating jigsaw parts one didn't want to finish for months. Jessica's smug announcement brought those pieces together with deadly clarity. I've known about. I whispered. Kyle's head snapped up, his eyes wide with disbelief. Jessica's victory. Kyle stammered. You should adjust your smile. Email password more often, Kyle. Using our anniversary date was risky when you started. So suspicious. My mother gasped. Samantha, this is inappropriate. Dinner talk. I spoke steelily to her. Neither is launching an affair with your sister. But here we are. In March, I borrowed. An email notification appeared on Kyle's laptop when mine crashed before a crucial work presentation. From Jessica last night. My finger was hovering above the mouse. Privacy warring with. The email was explicit, so suspicion grew. Describing their after-hours rendezvous in Kyle's office and mentioning past meetings. I didn't tell anyone because I needed time to analyze, plan, and protect myself. Davis engaged a private investigator after finding the emails. Kyle, they're thorough. They have images of you entering Jessica's apartment building 27. Separate evenings. They have your phone recordings and the jewelry store receipt. Jessica stated her happy client gave her that jewelry she's wearing. Her confidence sank as she reflexively covered her gold bracelet. You've been examining me? Kyle said, that's an invasion of privacy. I laughed, despite his anger. Everything. That's rich from the man who violated my marriage. Never fear, the inquiry was thorough. Legal, unlike adultery, which still qualifies for fault-based divorce. State. Samantha, maybe we should. Cut him off. 2 months ago, I contacted Patricia. Kyle, I've completed the paperwork. Donovan is one of Chicago's greatest divorce attorneys. Everything, copied all our financial records, and made steps to protect my assets. Patricia encouraged me to face you after gathering my evidence. Kyle's. Suddenly frightened, pale, and green, Jessica looked between us, her satisfaction vanishing as she discovered. She was being tricked. You're divorcing me? Kyle asked. All this time? I said simply. I intended to serve you. Next week's papers. Jessica's announcement expedited my time frame. My mother cried. Eyes. But Samantha, a divorce is final. Mom, I need counseling. Halted gently but firmly. This is irreversible. One more thing, everyone. I looked at Jessica. Your announcement is intriguing. I had a folded document in my handbag for weeks, waiting for the proper opportunity. I'd never. Kyle had a vasectomy 2 years ago, I said, sliding. This medical report across the table convinced us not to have kids. He didn't want the burden. Jessica glanced at me and Kyle, slowly understanding. She murmured, you're lying. Check the document. Sacred Heart. Dr. Reynolds performed the operation 26 months ago. Kyle. Recovering on our couch watching March Madness. I had to keep bringing him frozen peas. Swelled, Kyle appeared to vomit. Sam, I can explain. Jessica spoke forward, you had a vasectomy without telling me. You let me believe. She abruptly paused, realizing what she was saying.